Mark, it's
Hey,
here.
Paul.
It's here. It's finally here. Our third swing at the absolute universe, and probably the one I know the one that you were looking most forward to. Probably me too. But we'll talk about it. It's Absolute Superman coming up right after this. This.
This.
Man.
This.
You know that thing when you're trying to click on something and instead you get the drop down from the top right corner that has all
Yeah.
the things like print and everything? I happened like 4 times just there. Well, look at that. Look at that.
It's been a
Um,
minute since we did the this routine, though, so it
yeah,
worked
it
out
has.
well. It's a
Yeah,
callback. It's a
yeah.
callback.
It is. Before we get started, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the like button. Leave us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. And hit the like button. Did I say hit the like button already? Hit the like button so
Did it twice.
yeah, exactly, smash it twice. So like I said, this is the third swing of the first phase. This is just the first phase of the Absolute Universe. We've got more coming. Um, we know of at least Martian Manhunter, Flash, and Green Lantern. So we know of at least those three. They originally said there was going to be 7 in the first total wave, so maybe,
There's one still floating out there?
yeah, I had
What do
heard
you
maybe
think
it
it's
might
gonna
be
do?
Absolute Aquaman, maybe.
Oh my God! Wouldn't that be a treat?
That would be.
Have 2 Aquaman titles?
Imagine that.
Let's
Uh,
go.
yeah, really. We haven't had that since what they did, Aquaman, and then what was the other one they did with
No, it
the?
was in Jeff Johns era. That
Yeah,
team,
exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean.
the weird Aquaman team thing.
Yeah, can't even think of the name right now. That's how.
Nobody
That's
can. That's probably why they don't do Aquaman titles.
that's how long it's stuck around. But yeah, this is the third issue. We got Absolute Superman, Jason Aaron, Rafa Sandoval. Interestingly, it actually says too on the title page, which is actually way near the back. It says Raphael, special thanks to Raphael Albuquerque. Reason being because originally it was supposed to be Jason Aaron and Raphael Albuquerque was supposed to be, but there were floods in Brazil that prevented Raphael Albuquerque from actually doing the interiors. So Raphael Albuquerque actually did all of the character designs, and then Rafa Sandoval took over. So,
Huh.
um, but this he does a phenomenal job, I think here.
Yeah,
So
you got a special thanks to
yeah,
Raphael. That's
yeah.
really cool. I glossed right over that, Paul. Thank
hmm
you for that.
hmm
Huh.
This I would say probably is of the 3 that we've seen so far. Um, probably is the most what's the word I'm looking for? Probably deviates the most from what we might be used to from
I've heard that before.
the actual. Did you say that? You probably said that. I probably read it somewhere, and it was probably something you probably said.
Yeah, in my official non-spoiler review, I said it was the one that deviated the most from our original character and gave us the most world building on this absolute world of the 3.
Yeah. So we start on Krypton years ago, 9 million light years from Earth,
That's
and we
pretty
get
far away, isn't it?
that is
Pretty
yeah.
far away.
And we get basically our first look at Krypton as it was when the elves were there, not elves, elves.
They're making toys.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so it is a very much what they call a caste society. And what I mean by that is basically everyone is basically put into a particular, almost like a worker type of a thing. You know, you have your scientists, you have your workers, you have your clericals, and so on. And each person, they say, each of the people, depending on what caste you're in, you basically have to wear something that basically defines exactly what caste you're in. So that little sun there is the science. You'll notice that the Superman S, rather than standing for hope, it actually stands for the worker,
Manual labor,
the
the lowest
manual
of the
labor.
totem pole.
Exactly.
This feels like the Titanic now that you pointed out. We have all these different classes. The ship's clearly sinking.
Right.
With Krypton, after all. Yeah, they do a great job laying out Krypton right in the beginning, explaining this class order society and giving us the sense that the science class, the ruling class, they definitely feel their own importance kind of thing. And then we cut to outside the city, the city that's made of like crystal and stone and clearly being ran on like the fires of the volcano around it. So it's already given us the sense of that impending doom on Krypton. Like no planet that's like power sources, active volcanoes has to be stable. But out in the sticks, out in the farming area, that's where we meet our working class, where we meet Laura L., who's working on a harvester for a farmer. And we get some great dialogue that really give us the cultural dynamic of this Krypton, where he's waiting for the rain to come. He paid the science class to send the rain bots out to the farm to water his crops, and how they're hours late. The cost of rain has gone up. Laura's fixing this harvester for him. They're kind of in that mindset of like, why do we go on like this, despite there's nothing really we can do about it though.
Right, and we find out as we're talking, and the rain comes. We basically find out the story behind Lara, and we find out that she actually one of the reasons why she is in the class that she's in is because she was basically shunned by the science class. She had basically done something that basically ostracized her from being able to join the science class, and that's why she now is in the class that she's in.
She wrote an essay criticizing the science class for not putting funding behind interplanetary exploration.
Right.
Criticize them for being homebodies when we have the ability to travel the stars. And they're like, you questioned us, you're out of here, worker class.
Correct, which is interesting because it shows that not only is there maybe a delineation between knowledge and things like that, between knowledge and workers and things like that, but there is also definitely a power level hierarchy that exists between all of them too. And you cannot question any level above you. It seems as though, because that basically just keeps knocking you down the different levels.
And to really elevate the level of ego that the science class had, she was 9 years old. 9 years old when she was kicked out.
Right. We come back and we find that basically we're now with the miners basically who are there, and their job is of course to mine and then to press and form diamonds from these from the rocks that they're mining. But when they go down, they actually find that the ore has already been mined and it's already been pressed. Isn't that what happened here?
We go down to
did I jump ahead?
We go down to the mines on Krypton.
All right. I'm
where
sorry.
we get introduced to Jor-El, who's leading a team, who's also a mine. He's well beyond his station, but bumped down as well. And he's down here in the mines to inspect them. People are working out here harvesting these crystals that are abundant on Krypton that they build with and everything. And he's checking the structural integrity of the mine because somebody reported that there was an issue. They're looking for cracks in the crystal, steam coming out. And that's where we get introduced to middle management, the third class, who walks up on them with this third symbol and criticizes them for not actively swinging pickaxes, basically saying, get back to work. And Jor-El actually standing up to the station above him saying, we have to fully inspect this. Something's off here. And he's getting fussed at again. And about that time, the mine rumbles. They go running for their life. It starts caving in. The ground cracks, and we see that iconic green glow from between their feet. They look down and scream, and it was too late. Explosions of liquid piping hot, what we know as the reader to be kryptonite, but they don't know what it is, hits and starts melting people, and they barely make it out of there with their life. Not everybody does, it seems. And that's where it cuts from Krypton and goes to present day, present place, Brazil,
which is where what I was talking about happens. There are miners there, too many miners. Everyone's a miner. There are miners who are being told, interestingly enough, and this there is something called the Lazarus Corporation. We don't know exactly who runs that. Could it be?
Is it Roz?
Oh, could it be Ra's al Ghul? The Lazarus Corporation? We don't know. But the workers or the people that basically enforce what goes on in the Lazarus Corporation are the peacemakers. They basically are the people that make sure that the miners are doing what they're supposed to do. Their job is to mine the ore, then press it so that it turns into these diamonds. They go in, they find that all of this ore has already been mined. It's already been pressed, similar to something that happened in two other places on Earth as well. They end up, the peacemakers are not really sure exactly what happened yet.
Yeah, it was important to note the peacemakers detected a large amount of asbestos in the mine, and they're aware of it. The workers are aware of it, knowing they'll go down there, they'll die, but having no other option of life or survival, and they're at gunpoint being told to go back in the mines and do your job. And they reluctantly went in there just to find that the job's been done. Not only is it mined, it's mined pressed, and there's just buckets of diamonds waiting on them, kind of thing. And when they come out, we get a shot of them in the crowd. The silent angel just front and center there on the page. Something's amiss, and there's a worker that recognizes this guy like a fish out of water and approaches to talk to him, to kind of invite him to the table of workers to come like relax, get something to eat. We feel like we know what you did, kind of thing. Did you catch the panel in that conversation, by the way, where the energy off of his gauntlet is showing through his actual disguise?
Oh, I did not. Look at that. I see it now.
Yeah. Right there. One of the big factors of this character that I want to know about are these wrist and feet gauntlets, and you see this energy coming out of him. But yeah, he declines. He goes back to his own shop and just kind of sticks with the loner thing.
Right. The peacemakers show up basically and assault start to assault the miners, and then suddenly we get a third voice that's kind of this nondescript dialogue. We will come to find out a little bit later is actually his suit is actually talking to him, because his suit seems almost as though if you can compare it to the current maybe it's kind of like the Eradicator is like part of the suit or whatever, maybe.
Oh, I took it as Helix. I thought he had Helix in his suit.
Could be either or. Basically,
that'd be awesome if it's Eradicator, dude.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Yeah, it is basically some sort of Kryptonian science, basically. So it could be either or. But we basically, we see it's giving Kal-El instructions, telling him what to do. It basically, involves him in what's going on, and we get the first big fight between Kal-El and the Peacemakers that comes up, and we have right there.
Big old splash page.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's kind of important to point out too. Like, it was in small panels, but he had to unplug from solar charging himself with a solar panel and cords up to his suit to come rescue these people.
Right. They continue to battle. He basically is telling his suit is telling him, look, you know what, you're not ready for this yet. You're basically you're depleting yourself. You need to leave right now. He says no. We find that someone we don't know who she is yet, but we will come to find out in just a couple pages that it's Lois Lane is talking. We're going to tell him in a couple seconds anyway. So we get this first blast of his heat energy from his eyes that basically just kind of blows everyone away. Let me get that. Hold on a second.
It's pretty violent, pretty uncontrolled, going out in all angles. Pretty intense. You even saw like the suit, like electricity getting shot and just kind of taking it all, and then eventually just almost like he's hulking out, just like whole guttural scream and just fire, fire, fire.
Yeah, great scene.
Dusted.
Yeah. We get the person that we have that we kind of has been representing the miners has basically been looking on everything. We still hear the dialogue with his suit going on about what needs to go on. But by the end of the next page, that's when we find out the person that we see, that woman, she slaps a manacle or a shackle on the wrist of Clark, and that's when we find out that she's Agent Lane.
Yeah, some important things to point out here, though, about this Absolute Superman that's massively different. When he shoots this energy projection out, we see his suit have like these He's almost like it's alive, like with these designs moving around it and stuff. We see him glowing. We see him trying to refocus his chi. His whole suit is glowing orange. And when they notice, he kind of sits up and he's trying to like woo-saw, but everything starts floating him around him. Tanks start floating, helicopters start floating, and then they all just drop to the ground on the next page. So this guy's got a lot going on. Like that big blast, that excess power just bursts. It causes his suit to react to it. It causes the stuff around him to float off the ground. There's a lot going on with this Superman that's potentially new power sets that we don't see with our regular Superman.
Right. It almost gives kind of a Dark Phoenix type of a
Yeah.
vibe, almost type of a
Yeah.
thing.
How dare you mention Marvel Comics on this show?
And he actually names then his suit. He calls it Saul. That's when he
SOL.
SOL Saul, which is the sun, obviously.
Mhm.
And then we get the splash page for the title, and then we get a very quick one-page thing that is probably, I'm sure in issues to come, we get someone that we do not see enough of, and
Yeah,
that is,
this legitimately bummed me out. I'm not even going to
yeah,
lie.
it is Brainiac once again. Obviously, it's the absolute Brainiac. We know because we can see, different cities and bottles around him.
You see his
Um,
brain,
exactly, we see his
purple
brain.
light. He's working at the Lazarus court, by the way. So he works for this company that's trying to track down and catch Superman, which they did at the end of this issue.
I'm trying to see what. Oh, and he obviously is not very is not very welcoming or to the people. Obviously, he's captured cities, but you can see in there this little tiny print. That's what I was looking at. Is
Kill us, kill
kill
us.
us, right? This one of the cities is actually just screaming, kill us.
And the other
Which,
one's screaming in pain. All of them are screaming in pain. So clearly the shrinking process isn't refined like it is with the regular Brainiac.
correct. We then switch to Central Kansas. We go to the Kent farm, but on the Kent farm there is also a sign that says "Property of Lazarus Corp."
Yeah, I think
So,
they're just letting us know that there isn't a Kent family in this. We only get four
right.
panels. One, it shows a farm with no farms around it, just
Mhm.
desert. The barn is an old busted barn. The mailbox is busted and hanging off. The house is dilapidated. No one's lived there in decades. And it says property of Lazarus Court, which I'm thinking there might be something under this farm, maybe, and that's how they're going to tie it in.
Right.
But there's no Kent family in this.
Right, exactly, or at least at this point, anyway. So, who knows going forward? But we go back to Krypton before the explosion, and here is when we have another one of our biggest deviations. Here, we see Jor-El is actually talking about, the difference. What he's found out is that, he believes that the planet is in peril, that it's going to explode, and that's when when we see Cal, and he is not a baby. He is no longer a baby. He's a young, probably somewhere around 10, 12 maybe. So, he obviously definitely remembers his parents. And we see the last panel is again the kryptonite, coming up
The ground.
from the ground. That tells us that, Doom is Doom, not Doomsday, but Doom for the planet is probably right around the corner. So it is. It was as good as any of the other. I would say probably Wonder Woman was probably my favorite absolute story so far. But I actually liked the art best in this one.
Yeah, hands down, the art
Yeah,
crushed in this one.
yeah,
This one gave us the most content, I think.
yeah.
This one, like Absolute Batman had the shock factor, Absolute Wonder Woman had the format, the build, and just the punch, and this one just had the most content.
Yeah,
What a great three different flavors to work with here.
absolutely. And next week we go right. Then we come right back with Batman, Absolute Batman #2. So with some big things happening in that as well. So it's definitely off to start. It's sales wise, it is crushing the competition so far. Obviously, it's new. We would expect it to do pretty well. The key will be to it's not going to hold on to every single reader that it has, but if it can not bleed as many people as typically a lot of issues do, we just want it to keep maintain. It doesn't again just what the word I'm looking for. Steady. It needs to
Oh,
be
I was going to
steady.
say spelunking. I was going to guess.
No, that's not the word.
Wasn't spelunking.
It wasn't. That wasn't what I was looking for. It needs to be steady, and just keep it. It's gonna. All comics lose issues lose
It's
readers
like a
as they go along.
50% drop on average from 1 to 2. Just the
Yeah,
people that were buying
yeah,
just the
and
average.
until it finds its what's called its floor, and then it kind of couple thousand either way, kind of But if it can do that and maintain, you know, it obviously again the first two issues, first three issues of Absolute have totally re-energized at least DC anyway, and hopefully comic readers as well. So
Dominating the market right now.
they are,
Keep it up, DC. Keep it up.
they are, and All In is doing well as well. So, um, but yeah, looking forward to Batman #2, Absolute Batman #2 next week. So. But that's going to be it. Again, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the like button. Leave us a comment. Hit the notification bell. Do all those good things before you leave. We will be back next week again, taking a look at Absolute Batman #2. Thank you for joining us today. And I am Paul. He is Mark.
But we are Legion.
And we're now leaving Sector 2815 after this.